Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Ramadan Mubarak, brother.
Ramadan Mubarak.
So I've made you co-host for
Okay.
whatever you need to be able to display.
Okay.
And for the most part, I am going to be on mute just so that I'm not distracted, so I can let people in and out.
Okay.
You should be able to see the screen as far as hands raised and things like that. If you
All
have
right.
any difficulties, just hit me up in the chat
Okay.
and I'll communicate either by text or in the chat itself.
All right. Sounds good.
Uh, So you good for these last 10 days?
Alhamdulillah, it's going pretty good. It went by
Okay.
fast, actually.
It has gone by fast, man. It really has. Yeah. And maybe it's just the time of the year because
Could
it's
be.
at least here, the weather, I mean, everything has been almost perfect
Mm-hmm.
for getting through celebrating the month.
Mm-hmm.
Weather's been, the days aren't long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a very, very wonderful Ramadan for me here.
Agree.
Yeah. Did you get those pictures and that one video that I sent you
I
on
did.
Imam Muhammad?
I did. I have not had
Okay.
a chance to look at it, but I
Okay.
did put it in the folder.
Good.
And I will get it in the shared document with the planning team, so that
Okay.
everyone has access to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm expecting some additional information from the Baha'is, also from LDS,
Okay.
and then the lady that had the foundation. The video is hers, and that the only copy that Thanksgiving Square had was the copy that she's put out on Facebook. But
Okay.
I think she has an original copy of it that I'm asking her to allow us to edit it just for the parts that Imam Muhammad,
Mm-hmm.
for most of the parts that Imam Muhammad is featured
Mm-hmm.
in the video. So I haven't got an answer back from her yet, but
Okay.
hopefully I will soon.
Okay. Cool. 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 How many people are we expecting today?
Probably 9 or 10, I would
Okay.
imagine. I would love for it to be more than that, but
Sure.
that's kind of what I expect.
Okay.
I was listening to Imam DeLacy, Michael Hamid. I know that at least one or two of them will join us when their
Okay.
program is over as
Okay.
well.
All right. And I think the more that we do it, the more traction we will get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I
Consistency
was,
is always,
mhm.
just staying with it, being consistent, um, putting fresh material out, information out. I think is what is going to attract people.
Right, I agree. So I was looking at a fintech company yesterday called
Hmm.
Kickoff,
Hmm.
and they are just a fintech company primarily. I mean, all of these fintech companies are kind of the same. They're trying to get money to pass through their hands to go to the institutions that they actually have a banking relationship with,
Uh-huh.
and they get a percentage of all that. I don't know exactly how it works, but one of the things that they do, theirs is set up as a subscription service
Okay.
for financial literacy training.
Okay.
And for like $5 a month, there's a $5 level, there's a $10 level, I think, and a $20 level. You get different levels of financial help,
Mm.
like ebooks, one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
counseling, different things of that nature. And actually, I think that's a pretty great idea. If you have enough information, if you have enough people that if somebody picks up the phone and calls that they want
Yep.
to talk with a financial counselor, they want to
Yep.
talk with a credit counselor, those type of things, that people would pay the $5 to $10 a month to have access to that. If what you're saying, and their stick is that we're going to help you improve your credit score
Mm-hmm.
type of thing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And manage your bills and all these different kinds of things.
Yep.
So something like that running through a nonprofit, we would have to have, if we were to do something like that, we would have to have a large body of people who are willing to take on answering phones, responding to people. But at least it's food for thought on something that we could do maybe
Right.
on a much smaller scale than that,
Right.
but at least something we can think about because we're going to have the ebooks.
Right.
We're going
Right.
to have the ebooks available, and probably between yourself, Imam Talib, there's two ebooks that could be that ones you've already created basically or
Mm-hmm.
finalizing. His
Mm-hmm.
on um, you know
Wheels and
transferring wealth and wills and all
yep.
that type of thing
Mm-hmm.
could very easily come to fruition. We could probably have someone in who knows credit, who knows
Mm-hmm.
how to help people improve their credit patterns and things like that. There's is somebody with insurance, especially people with information on Medicare, Medicaid, answering
Mm-hmm.
questions on that type of thing, and even putting out booklets on that. So I think there's
Mm-hmm.
some areas that we could cover. Just we got to give it some thought and see how deep we would want to go with it, if at all.
100% agree. And I think that
Yeah,
this platform that we're using, right? This is a podcast essentially. It's
yeah,
all the
it
components
is.
of a podcast. So we just have to market this, in a way where it attracts people, and then offer them those list of services that you just mentioned.
Right.
And it could be a fee bait. It could be a free kind of like bait to get people in, and then there's a fee base service if you want the ebook, if you want other type of material that can help you navigate the different topics. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is a great idea, and we need to give some significant thought to what a podcast can look like for Graceline. And then go from there about what top we talked about continuing these this conversation,
Right.
and having different topics, and having invited guests to make presentations on different topics. I do like that idea.
Yeah, I think that's great. So we are at 10 o'clock. We've got Imam Tariq Abdul Mukmeen with us. Imam, would you open us up with dua and then we'll get our program started?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Pardon me, excuse me. Assalamu alaikum Ramadan Mubarak.
Well, like Assalam, Ramdan Bar.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry for that. أعوذ
Mm-hmm.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
I mean,
May I ask a question before we officially get started, brother?
Yes, sir.
You brother Omar, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you the same brother uh, with the conveners of imams trying to put things in place?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay then. Okay, thank you. All right,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
You're welcome. All right, assalamu alaikum, everyone. Ramadan Mubarak. And what for those who are not Muslim, we basically gave the greetings, the Muslim traditional greetings of um, um, wishing everyone a fruitful Ramadan, the month of fasting. This is the month that the Quran was revealed, and this is a month that Muslims around the world uh, do intensive concentration and studies and devotion to prayer, as well as reflection on the teachings in the Quran, so that we exit this month a better version of ourselves than we did when we entered. That is our ultimate goal, to be pleasing to Allah, pleasing to our souls, so that we have the best of what human excellence, and we can express what is the best of human excellence. So I am going to share my screen and get started with the presentation for today. Let me get that. Does everyone see this? Is it clear?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, inshallah, today I wanted to make a presentation on achieving financial freedom with the 50-30-20 budgeting plan. This is a practical guide to financial independence. You heard in the last 2-3 weeks a build up to this point. We had Sister Martha present a personal um, uh, kind of, I would say, a personal reflection of challenges when it comes to financial difficulties. We also had Imam Tariq, who is a business owner, business entrepreneur. He last week gave a presentation on business aspects. And today we just want to round this out about how we can use the 50-30-20 budgeting plan, both for personal financial independence as well as business. A lot of people use this budgeting plan as well as developing their business approach to successful business development. So I am going to touch a little bit on both of those today. And I will be introducing towards the end a new product line that we have that we will be making available to the community here soon. We are wrapping up a lot of the logistics around a workbook that will be available to the community for purchase to be able to walk through these steps that we're going to talk about today and discuss to get us started on what it means to be financial independent. So just a little bit ground setting here, table setting, discussion setting here around how the Quran views financial wealth and how the Quran reviews financial responsibility, financial stewardship. Here in Surah 28, Ayat 77, Allah tells us, seek the reward of the hereafter by means of what Allah has granted you, without forgetting your share of this world, and be good to others as Allah has been good to you. Do not seek to spread corruption in the land, for Allah certainly does not like the corruptors. So here it is clear that Allah definitely wants us to be in a financial position where we can help spread good in the world. that we use what Allah has given us, if it's wealth, if it's knowledge, if it's our skill sets and abilities, to be able to use those skill sets and what Allah has gifted us with, to be able to elevate goodness in the world, to be able to help man come into his excellence, to be able to express the excellence of what it means to be a Khalifa, to be that steward of the resources that Allah says is at our will, right? At our disposal to be able to use to take care of our particular needs. So that comes with a great responsibility when Allah says that you, as man, have that responsibility, and He's placing us to be over with his lead, to be in over those types of elements of our environment, of our life, of our kind of community development. So it does take resources to be able to do that, and resources are different. You know, it can look different across communities, but it also takes the financial stability of communities to be able to advance the work, right? To support educational systems, to support community development infrastructure, to support financial institutions, to be able to support educational institutions. So everything it means to build community life, it does take a financial a contribution to be able to get that done. This is just one ayat that states to us that we are to, yes, develop and work towards our spiritual development, but we cannot forget about the material world that we are a part of as well. So this slide here is just to introduce us to financial freedom. So first, I want to welcome us to this presentation, and inshallah, by the end of this talk, it will help us to understand financial freedom and how to manage our income effectively using the 50-30-20 budgeting plan. Some of the key takeaways that we want people to walk away with is an understanding of what is financial freedom, the benefits of the 50-30-20 rule, or the 50-30-20 budgeting rule, budgeting plan, and also how to apply it to real life. So what is financial freedom? Here's a brief definition of what financial freedom is. Financial freedom basically is being worry-free, stress-free, and having enough financial security to cover all of our living expenses, to be able to navigate uncertainty when it comes to just unknown circumstances that may happen, because life happens. Unexpected challenges happen that can be costly. So being able to have financial security in place that allows us to be able to navigate those challenges in life, that is what financial freedom is. Why does this matter? Financial freedom allows us a level of independence and flexibility, again, to be able to adapt to those unfortunate circumstances that life brings. It reduces stress and financial anxiety. Being able to know that you have a certain level of financial security if there's unexpected circumstances like a loss of income or an expense that was unexpected. Having a financial security plan or a system in place to be able to address that particular situation, it definitely reduces stress and financial anxiety. And particularly as we get older, having that financial security allows us to be able to do those things that we want to be able to do. And then financial freedom also, or financial security also help us with our short and long-term financial planning. So the benefits of financial freedom, again, this allows us to pursue our passions, work on those things that we love, not just for money, but for impact, for if we want to volunteer our expertise, we volunteer our time, donate, we have the ability to do so to pursue our passions and those things that we care deeply about. So we work on that out of love, not because we have to support ourselves or be able to develop some type of material financial benefit from doing some of this work. It helps us. Another benefit is that it helps us plan for our future goals. It helps us save for key milestones in our lives, like buying our first home or another home or planning for retirement. An additional benefit is handling unexpected financial challenges. This helps us to be prepared for emergencies without financial stress. I think that the challenge that the country is experiencing now is definitely bubbling to the top a lot of conversations around how do you prepare for these unexpected situations and circumstances that you have no control over, but it does impact your finance. You know, the decisions that they make impact your financial comfort, your financial situation. So how do you prepare? Right. And I think that a lot of people now are having those conversations about how do we be more financially independent so that we do have buffers against these unexpected changes in policy, unexpected changes in decisions that have a significant impact on our financial situations. And then, of course, lastly, the reduction in financial stress. We can live with confidence, knowing that we have control over our money. Right. This is again going back to Surah 28, Ayat 77, being fiduciary, for fiduciary responsible for what Allah has gifted us with, right? Not going out and splurging excessively, right? But being able to plan for the future, plan for the present, and being able to live with confidence, knowing that we have control over our money, that our money is not controlling us, but we are controlling our money, and we have our money work for the benefit of those things that we care deeply about, being able to create generational wealth, being able to create giving programs for our communities and our masjids. So let's dive a little deep into what is the 50-30-20 budgeting plan. Basically, it is a simple budgeting, right? I'm kind of hesitant to use the word budget because people, when you mention the word budget to people get a sense of this glaze that come over their face and their eyes when you mention the word budget. One, because unfortunately, our families, right, we did not grow up talking about budget. We did not grow up talking about what it meant for our families to plan for the financial future, right? So when we hear that, it strokes a sense of fear. But we have to have conversations in our families around budgeting, annual budgeting for our families, for our masjids, for whatever ventures that we are engaging in. We have to have those discussions about what it means to have a budget. And basically, a budget balance your needs, your wants, and your savings. These are the essential elements of what makes up the 50-30-20 budgeting plan. And how this is broken down is that, and this basically, this 50-30-20 covers your take home pay. So this is for folks who are employees, this is the money that you take home after paying all of your taxes. This is your take home pay. For folks who are consultants or you run your own business, this is the money after you pay all of your expenses. This is the money again that you take home, not your gross money, but your net. income is what you will be using to develop your 50-30-20 budgeting plan. So this is broken down into three categories: needs, wants, savings, and investments. So the needs is your 50%. So you take 50% of your allocation, and we're going to talk about what that 50% can look like. So you take 50% of your take-home income, and you allocate that strictly to your needs. You take 30% of your take-home income, and you allocate that to your wants. You take 20% of your take-home income, and you allocate to your savings and investment. This plan is a little different than your traditional budgeting plan because, you know, when I was in school and we talked about budgeting, it basically, you felt like you were in a prison, right? You had a certain goal that you wanted to reach, and you couldn't do anything outside of that until you reached that specific goal. So it really, the way that budgeting was taught to me when I was younger, it felt like it was difficult to reach. It was difficult to celebrate milestones. It just felt daunting, overwhelming. This here allows you, right? Because we want to reward ourselves. This budgeting reward ourselves, and that's the 30%. The 30% is the award. And we'll talk about this here in some subsequent slides. But this is a balanced approach to managing our personal and business incomes. So the 50%, this is what is allocated as your essential expenses. This is necessary for all financial stability. When it comes to your personal finances, these are your essential expenses. So this will be your housing, if it's rent, mortgage, utilities, insurance, groceries will be allocated within this category. Transportation. So if it's your car, gas is going to take to run that car. Public transportation, if you use public transportation. Healthcare. So that's your insurance and your medications, or elder care, or child care, anything that is essential for your household, that is included into your 50%. And then paying down, of course, that debt that all of us are challenged with. Here's a tip for everyone. If your needs exceed 50% of your budget, consider adjusting, your housing or your transportation costs, or looking at other areas within your needs category, or your wants category, or your um, um, fun, what I call fun category, your wants category. Look at that and see where you can make some adjustments to be able to then, bring that money into your needs category to be able to cover your needs. And I do have situations where I talk with individuals where we're working through their budget, and their needs category is 60% of their budget, right? And it is very difficult for those individuals to kind of navigate and kind of gain traction, right? But if you slowly, every week, every month, work towards, right, what can I do to bring more income to be able to address this default in my budget? Slowly we see them beginning to make more tractions and being able to reduce that 60% and get it down to 50%. It does take dedication, it takes hard work, it takes a lot of commitment, and striving towards wanting to become financial independent. The 30%, this is your wants. A lot of the time I tell people this is your fun. I tell people this is your fun money, right? So this is just your discretionary spending, right? If I have to take anything from a category, this is the category that I look at first, because I don't want to take it from my needs, because I mean, those are my essential categories to run my household. I don't want to take it from my savings because I'm investing into my future. I'm investing into my retirement. I'm investing into my emergency fund, right? So I don't want to take from that category. So I look at that 30% and that wants or my fund money to see where I can reduce there to begin to then reallocate to either my needs category or my savings category, or to begin to aggressively address those deficits. But your 30% wants category or fund category is discretionary spending. This is basically anything that you consider enhances your lifestyle. So this is eating out, entertainment, discretionary shopping. So this does not include your groceries or essential shopping for your household. This is hobbies, gadgets, trinkets, clothing. This is stuff that you can do without. So that is what this category is. Gym memberships. In many cases, though, your gym membership may be an essential, right? Depending on if this is something that your doctor is recommending, that you have a gym membership, that you're active. So you may, some people put their gym membership as part of their needs category. But it all depends on each family. What everyone's budget is going to look different. The categories is going to look different. So it doesn't necessarily have to reflect what is on the screen, but these are just examples of what can be considered in each of these categories. Vacations is part of this fund category, or this wants category. And then streaming services and gaming, right? A tip here is that if you're saving for a big goal, like reducing wants spending, you can free up some extra money in this category to be able to allocate to savings if you have a deficit there, or to shore up your needs if you have a deficit there. 20% for savings and investment. To me, this 20% is essential, and I really don't like really messing with this 20% allocation here. Because I am investing in my financial future. So this is my way of saying I am paying myself first, right? So you're building long-term financial security. You are establishing an emergency fund. So emergency fund is different than a savings account. Savings account is something that you can dip into when you need some, your money to be able to cover, let's say, an auto repair. So your savings account should have something somewhere near maybe 3 months worth of expenses in that account. But an emergency fund is something like a long-term fund that if you have unexpected emergency, like a health a crisis that happened in your family, or loss of income, unemployment, this is the emergency fund, right? So emergency fund should be established. If you don't have an emergency fund, um, you need to concentrate on establishing this emergency fund. Start off with saving 1 month's worth of expenses, and then starting to build that emergency fund up where you can save anywhere between 6 months to a year of household expenses. So what it takes to run that household for anywhere between 6 months and a year needs to be housed in this emergency fund. Your emergency fund can take different types of vehicles to be able to make up that emergency fund. It could be cash that you put into a high yield savings account. It could be a mutual fund that you establish. It could be CDs. It could be another type of savings account that you establish. So this emergency fund should be a fund that you can easily access and liquidate, right? So you don't want any challenges in liquidating those funds. You can have other vehicles, financial vehicles that you can use to build up this emergency fund. But the emergency fund should be something that is anywhere between 6 months and a year worth of your household expenses. Retirement savings, again, if you are an employee, you should be maximizing your employer retirement savings plans. A lot of employers contribute to your 401k and any retirement plans that they have. So you want to you want to maximize that and benefit and you know take the benefit of being able to invest into those retirement savings. If you are self-employed or you are consultant or you run your own business, there are other vehicles out there in which you can invest into retirement savings, IRA, other types of vehicles out there that you can use to be able to invest into retirement savings. You want to also use this retirement savings to be able to pay down your debt, not just paying the minimums, you know, of your payments, but adding some extra payments to your debt. One method that I have seen worked very successfully is the debt snowball effect. That is taking your lowest interest payment, paying that off, and then rolling those payments into your next one, and then rolling that payment into the next one. By the time you make those extra payments on all of your debt, you in anywhere between 3 to 5 years, you have paid down your debt. Investments in stocks, bonds, real estate. There are other types of investment vehicles that are out there that you can avail yourself to be able to take advantage of having your money work for you. One tip here is to automate your savings. So every time you get paid, you automate your allocation to be able to take a specific amount out of your income and directly into these different types of saving mechanisms. So you can have a percentage of the 20% that is put into the emergency fund. A percentage of that 20% is put into a retirement savings account. A percentage of the 20% is put towards debt payment, and then a percentage of the percent is invested, right? And you have to start somewhere, right? Don't think of this as I don't make that much money, so I can't invest. No, we cannot take on that type of mindset. Even if I am making $40,000 a year, I have room in my budget to be able to put away for an emergency fund and a savings fund. At the very least, we should be establishing emergency funds and savings funds. Savings accounts. There is a statistic, well-known statistic in this country that 60% of Americans, 60% of Americans do not have $400 in their savings account. So that means if their car breaks down, if they have an unexpected expense that comes into their household, they struggle because most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And if something happens to that paycheck, or they have an unexpected bill that comes in, it can knock them, put them in a financial difficulty. So we want to be able to invest in ourselves, and that is what this 20% is, to invest in ourselves. The benefits of the 50-30-20 plan, once we kind of wrap our heads around what our approach, people will have different approach to the 50-30-20. This is just an example. I have seen people do 40, 40-40-10. Or different, different aspects of that. I mean, not 40-40-10, 40-40-20. Different aspects of this to be able to work their budget. So it will look different based on your financial circumstances and situations. What I don't want people to do is to walk away with this and say, I don't make enough money to do this plan. This plan can work for anyone's budget, anyone's budget. And this plan set us on the course to become financial independent, to begin to tackle those financial challenges in our lives, and we just have to work towards it. We have to be committed to it. We have to be dedicated to being working towards this plan and being able to use this to begin a process to become more financial stable. This plan is simple. It's easy to follow, even for people who hate the word budget, who cringe every time they hear the word budget. This is for the very beginners, right? And our job as Graceline, we have some tools, and I'm gonna talk about the tools and resources that we have. We have some tools and resources to make this effort easy. If you're not good at math, we have tools to be able to help you plug in your information, and it creates that 30% allocation, that 20% allocation, that 50% allocation. We can help you right on with some one-on-one conversations on how to get started and where you can get started. We have worksheets to be able to help you to put your numbers down on paper and play with those numbers, and then begin to work on a spreadsheet that we have, a workbook that we have. Flexibility. It allows us to be adaptable to different, this plan is adaptable to different income levels. Again, regardless of what your income level, this plan can help become more financial stable. And then it's a balanced approach, right? That identifies the essential needs that we need to cover, as well as how we're going to enjoy life. Because we can, I think in many instances, people fail with their personal budgets because they are trying to just cover their essential needs, and they can't have fun, right? They can't enjoy the money that they're working every day for, right? So they can't enjoy the present day, vacation, or they can't have future security. So this approach allows us not only to be able to cover our essentials that we need to be able to take care of our lives, but it also allows us to be able to enjoy the money that we make, and also secure our future. And then there's an accountability piece, right? Again, getting back to that ideal of being a Khalifa of what Allah has blessed us with. Developing a strong financial habits that allows us to be responsible and accountable for the blessings that Allah has blessed us with. These are some common financial planning mistakes to avoid. At least I see these when I am working with individuals on their, financial plan, personal financial plan. I see these as recurring challenges, or areas that people overlook when they are approaching their personal budgets. Overspending on wants, right? This country, the world now has gotten us in a mindset that we want it now, we have to have it now, and we have gotten out of this idea of saving towards it, working towards something that we want, particularly big purchase items. And we have this ideal in our head that I want it, I need it, and I'm going to get it now. So we overspend on our wants. So being able to, be disciplined in our spending, to be able to look at what is essential. Do I need that now? Can I get that 6 months from now? How can I create other financial benefits that can allow me to be able to get this within a certain milestone or a time frame that is acceptable to me, right? So keeping our wants within a spending allowance that allows us to be balanced. Ignoring emergency savings, right? I have seen this over and over again. A lot of people think that their saving account is enough, right? Until they have loss of income in their household, and they realize, oh man, I don't have enough in my savings, right? I may have $6,000 in my savings, but that's only 2 months worth, of covering my household expenses. Then that leads to stress and other financial anxiety that comes along with that. So not only having a savings account with that $5,000-6,000 in it, but also having an emergency fund that can cover 6 to a year worth of your household expenses, that you have immediate access to when there is an emergency. And people ask me this all the time: what constitutes an emergency? it depends on your family. What your family defines as an emergency, that is what you will use to determine the threshold when you tap into your emergency fund, right? So the family, your family would have to have a discussion. And these are different levels of buffering, right? So you have your savings account that buffer you if, let's say, your car breaks down. You don't dip into your emergency fund to fix your car. You have money in your savings account to be able to cover that expense. Or if there's a bill, an unexpected bill that came in, you can dip into your savings to cover that bill, not your emergency fund. You dip into your emergency fund using that threshold that is well defined by your family on what constitutes an emergency for your family. Only paying minimal, debt payments. Interest piles up over time. So being able to look at how you can minimize your interest payments by doubling payments. Debt snowball is a good way of being able to minimize your debt payments. And then also looking at debt consolidation. If you have different debt situations where you have these different credit cards and etc. Being able to consolidate those debts where you have one payment that you are making your debt payment. I'll just be honest from a personal um, um, preference for me. I don't use credit cards. If I can't afford something, I save up for it, or I don't get it. It's just not meant for me to have. I do not have credit cards. And the reason I don't is that, and I think all of us have been in this situation, in this position. When I went to college, um, uh, you're on the college campus and there's tables out there, inviting you to take out these credit cards. And that's what I did. I took out credit cards and I got myself into a whole lot of financial debt in college because of credit cards. And I spent most of my 30s, right? Most of my 30s getting out of that credit card debt, and I refuse to get back into to that level of financial challenge when I was younger. So I learned from that experience. Me personally, I do not use credit cards. I either pay with my debit, or I have other financial vehicles that I use to pay for things, or I save, just like my grandparents, my parents did. You want something, you save up for it, you get it. And then the last one that I see of people falling into a lot of challenges around is that even though they may set up a financial plan, they don't track their expenses, right? So they're again overspending in those wants categories and not looking at their expenses and making sure that they do regular check-ins and making adjustments, right? Because month to month it could change. So being able to be flexible and making those adjustments as situation changes, circumstances may dictate different allocations across these categories. So how do you get started? And then we're going to go through each one of these steps, and then I have some um, tools that I want to discuss with everyone on how we can help you begin to walk through each one of these steps to be able to begin your journey on financial independence. So step one, calculate your after-tax income. Will help you to know how much you earn each month after taxes, right? So this is the money that you bring home that everyone uses to pay their household expenses. So we do have a worksheet that we can make available to anyone that requests that worksheet to help them kind of calculate on paper what their income is, take home income is. Step two is to categorize this income and your expenses in categories. So you want to categorize it in needs, wants, and savings. And again, we do have worksheet to be able to help you categorize these expenses and these into the appropriate categories. Step three, allocate according to the 50-30-20 financial plan. And again, this is flexible enough for you to be able to adjust these percentage allocations based on your situations and circumstances. You may have to have 60% in the needs, and then that means that you have to then reduce either your uh, uh, um, wants category to cover that extra 10%, or I really don't like advising people to reduce that 20%. I like keeping that 20% in savings there again because you're investing in yourself, and then kind of adjust that 30% allocation category. Even if you just get it down to 15% and then move that into your either needs category or your savings category if you want to get aggressive with establishing your savings account or establishing your emergency fund account. And then the last step, which most people overlook, is that you want to monitor. You want to set up a monitoring process where you are tracking, monitoring, and making any necessary adjustments to your budget and your plan as you are going, you're on this journey. So these are some resources here. You can find these resources on Graceline website. I have linked the link to the organization in this presentation. This presentation more likely will be put on our website, so you will be able to go on to and it'll be on our YouTube channel. So you will be able to go back on and be able to find this information there as well. But the website address for Graceline is gracelinecommunityinc.org, gracelinecommunityinc.org, and you will find a host of resources there, some prior podcasts that we have done before on financial planning, as well as other topics outside of the 50-30-20 financial plan. But some additional resources that we have available for folks to avail themselves of is that we have a spreadsheet. Again, we know that this could be overwhelming for some folks to be able to figure out, okay, well, how do I allocate this 50%, this 30%, this 20%? We remove this burden by creating the spreadsheet that is basically a calculator. You can plug in your numbers, you can play around with numbers, and it actually allocate the numbers for you within those particular categories. 50%. It actually tells you if you are over over those particular percentage thresholds, and you will be able to play with your numbers to be able to adjust those categories to be able to get you within whatever that target percentage is that you need it to be able to do start your journey to become financial have financial freedom. Then, of course, we have a worksheet that is a planning worksheet. So you can sit down at your table and have a conversation, with everyone in your household about your budget journey that you're about to go on. And then have conversations about needs and wants and savings and what it is that your family is going to need to be able to kind of not only identify those needs, but begin to allocate specific amounts to those categories so that you can begin to plug into the spreadsheet, right? So these are complementary of each other. The worksheet can be used to just put some papers, some raw numbers down on the paper, and then be able to look at the paper and then be able to plug those numbers into the spreadsheet and play around in the spreadsheet with those numbers. And then another resource that we have available that we will have available to everyone here soon. Now, the spreadsheet calculator and the financial plan worksheet, these are free services that are available to you upon request. So you can go to our website, email Graceline, and be able to request these two resources. And it comes with consultation too. So you can ask, for a 30-minute hour one-on-one consultation to use these tools to be able to, begin this process to set you up on this journey. The next resource or tool that we have is the financial financial freedom workbook. And this is a workbook to help us master the 50-30-20 plan. Now, this one is a fee-based. You're seeing this correct. I did not make a mistake and forgot the aura. This is a fee-based resource here. One is that we wanted a way to be able to generate resources for Graceline, right? This will help Graceline to be able to develop other tools and resources to be able to make them available to community when it comes to other financial educational initiatives, as well as tools and resources. And also, it will be able to help Graceline financially to be able to do some of the mission of the organization, not only around financial education, but ultimately to be able to work towards, right? Work towards developing institutions, financial institutions that will be able to help us help our community access financial vehicles that will be helpful for them when it comes to business development, when it comes to economic development in our community, in entrepreneurship development. So we are working diligently towards making that a reality for our community, that we have our own financial institutions that can be a financial support to our communities. So this workbook will be available soon. We will have it as an e-workbook, and we will have it as a hard copy. You know, some folks love to work electronically, and they will work through the workbook electronically. And then there's some folks like myself, I like to have something in hand. We will have that available for folks to purchase to be able to walk through each of the steps to be able to work through to build your financial personal plan. And again, all these resources also can be used for business development. We're talking personal finance, but this can be used also for business development. You just have to change the lens in which you see or allocating things. You just need to change the lens to be able to allocate it appropriately. So this is, I'm just going to walk through very quickly. I can't walk through all of the workbook, but I just chose the second chapter of the workbook to do just a brief walkthrough. So basically, this is it's in draft format. We're going through all of the logistics now to publish this workbook. So the workbook has 12 chapters, and as you can see, it goes through the very introduction of what financial freedom is, all the way through to a regular review and adjustments, making adjustments to your budget plan. So this is a plan. So this workbook is really designed to develop a financial plan, a personal financial plan or a business financial plan. The chapters in here go through, setting financial goals, using the 50-30-20 budgeting method, building an emergency fund, right? So a lot of people are challenged with this, building an emergency fund. So we dedicated a chapter here to building an emergency fund and how you can go about building that emergency fund. Managing debt effectively, right? So using different strategies that are outlined in the workbook to manage debt, saving in an investment for future, and diversifying your investment, right? So not putting everything into stocks, but looking at other types of investment vehicles that are out there, bonds, securities, real estate, other types of investments that are out there. And people they push back on this idea a lot of time about investing. Well, I don't make that much to invest. Yes, you do, right? If you really look at what I am spending my money on, is there room in there for me to put away $25 a month to invest, right? In most cases, yes, it is, right? I can give up my Starbucks coffee that I'm paying $5-6 for, right? And then put that, if I'm spending that every day, I can take that, put that up and invest that into an investment account, or invest that into CDs or into some other investment account. So there are ways in which people can save. We just have to think differently about what it is that we want to do and what we want to achieve. There's a chapter here on continuing to learn about financial vehicles and adaptation, right? There's always new financial vehicles that are out here that we need to learn about, that we need to become aware about. Uh, it does not mean that you have to invest in them or participate in them, but you need to be aware of them, know about them, so that you can make an informed decision if it's a benefit for you to invest your money in, right? I tell people this all the time. If you want to invest into something that is risky, right, a risky investment, then you should be investing money that you can lose, right? That you can lose, and you won't be hurt if you lose that amount, right? So thinking through these chapters help you to think through those kind of discussions and decisions, and then what it means to work through a financial freedom roadmap, right? So there's seven levels that we discussed there, and then achieving. Then we just close, the workbook out with what financial freedom looks like by the time you work yourself through the basically the 11 chapters. So each chapter starts with information that is shared within each chapter about that specific topic. So it just gives an overview, some tips, some strategies that are outlined in each of the chapters, and then we follow each of those sections up, or each of the informational content up with specific worksheets that we give examples of worksheets where we have an example, a walkthrough of each of the worksheets, and then we have individual chapter worksheets where you as an individual can use that space to be able to now do that exercise, complete that particular part of the chapter in that worksheet, and then at the end of each chapter, we have an exercise reflection and adjustment, right? So that you can now look at some reflection, some questions that are posed, and then you can look at what you have completed on your worksheet and see if you need to make any necessary adjustment. By the end of the workbook, you will have a financial plan that you have established an emergency fund, you have established a savings account, you have set some clear, specific goals with some timelines, you have set some if you decide that you want to do investment, you have set some investment goals, etc. So you're moving towards becoming financial, having some financial stability. And that's the end of the presentation. And I'm willing to take any questions that anyone has. And again, this is the website that anyone can go to. Visit the website, look under our seminars and events tab, and you will be able to make a request for one-on-one conversations or consultation around how to get started. I really want to encourage everyone to become a member of Graceline, because when you become a member of Graceline, you receive our newsletter, and the newsletter have these types of topics and other type of resources that we make available to our members. So I really suggest and highly encourage everyone to become a member of Graceline so that you can receive the newsletter. One of the other benefits of being a member of Graceline is that you have access to members of our team that have specific levels of expertise in finance and accounting and business development and nonprofit and grant writing, different host of areas of topics. You have access to those individuals to be able to have a conversation with them. We can't always promise that it will be a free service, but we can have a conversation about where to get started with many of these topics. So I'm just going to Edward, I'm just going to open the brother Edward. I'm going to just open, stop there and just open up for any questions that people may have. Yes, brother Michael, I see your hands raised up. Yes, sir.
Yes, assalamu alaikum and
Wa
Ramadan
alaikum
Mubarak.
assalam. Ramadan
Thank you.
Mubarak.
Thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah.
I enjoyed the presentation and I'm looking forward to hearing it again, the recording of it. I was interested in the debt snowballing.
Yes,
I
sir.
like that. I like that focus. But my question has to do with credit. Those that use credit cards, how
Mhm,
to how to properly manage
mhm,
credit cards and the credit card debt. I've been
mhm,
seeing certain things on the internet in
mhm,
terms of that usage,
mhm.
but it would be good coming from Graceline to
Sure,
to to properly uh, manage debt.
sure, sure.
Thank
So
you.
yes, sir. And I welcome any of the other folks, Imam Talib, Brother Edward, anyone else that is part of the Graceline team to definitely chime in on this as well. But with any type of financial tool, it comes with discipline. Using credit cards, not maxing those credit cards out, being able to pay what you use for that month, being able to pay that off. If you are, like many folks are in situations where they have a high credit card debt. The people are using the debt snowball to be able to reduce those payments. Being able to make more than the minimum payment, brother Michael, on your credit cards is another strategy to be able to manage your credit cards. And I do understand that there are some folks that will need those types of vehicles. And I hope I didn't offend anyone by suggesting that that's just my personal preference not to use it, because in my 20s I struggled with credit card debt. In my 30s I struggled with credit card debt. And once I got out of that, I made a commitment that I would not put myself in those situations again, and starting
I, I understand.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Starting to look for, situations where I could have a savings account and, emergency fund to be able to not use my credit card to pay for, essentials, those types of things. So Brother Michael, I do understand, and I invite you, Brother Michael, to reach out to us. We do have individuals that we can recommend to you. If that is something that you are interested in reducing your credit card, commitment, we definitely could recommend some folks that you can talk to be able to help you manage and navigate that process on how do you begin your debt snowball process and begin to reduce that commitment to credit cards.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Yeah,
Ramadan Mubarak.
I would just add to that, and this is coming from over 50 years of experience in business, that and having watching the ebbs and flow of being in debt, getting out of debt, back into debt again, getting out. I would tell you that one of the key factors in getting out of debt is focusing on um, how you're going to accomplish that and carry out what it is that you say you're going to do. So, by example, um, I took a look and charted my business debt back in September of 2024. It was at roughly $45,000. I took a look at it 30 days ago, roughly 30 days ago, and it was down to 25. I've given myself until June. In other words, my goal was by June, it would be down to 15. And before the year is out, I will have it at a point that it's manageable. Now, what I've got to learn is once I make it manageable, is not to get in debt again. I mean, getting into debt is easy. But what I'm finding for me, and this is at like 73 years old, I don't want to be spending my days and hours trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of debt. So now I'm in a position where I want to get out and stay out. But I will tell those of you that are in debt is we can help you map out a plan. We just need the numbers. We just need the dates that things are due. We need to know what it is you have coming in. Because one thing I can tell you about the 50-30-20 plan, it will expose to you where you may need to make some serious and deliberate changes. You may be living in an apartment that is beyond your means. So you may have to consider having a roommate or something that's going to reduce the expenses that you have going out. I know it's going to be difficult for us to cut back on those things we enjoy because we continuously tell ourselves we work hard and you deserve this. So I would look for this to be an opportunity for us to take some serious looks at those fixed expenses that we have, those things that we put away for what Omar has described as fun activities, and start making those small investments that are going to make a difference in your future. And lastly, I do think that one of the topics that we can look forward to in collective conversations is to help our community to prepare themselves. How do we prepare ourselves for these ongoing political shenanigans that are putting all of us in a state of anxiety or whatever it is that you're feeling in this process? Maybe having either the threat or the loss of employment or Social Security or Medicare being cut, or just even as much as someone seizing or delaying you getting assets or getting money from investments that you've already made. There's no telling how far, in this current climate, people are ready to go, or what it is they're willing to do. So I think a conversation in terms of helping people navigate through those rough waters is going to be essential, particularly for Graceline to offer. And then for those listening now, to spread the word to others that we want to have these conversations with you, and perhaps you can find that little nugget that's going to make a difference in your own life. So thank you for this. I think it was a wonderful presentation, and may God bless all of us and bless me too. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, Brother Michael.
Allahu Akbar. Yeah, man. Allah bless us all. This this environment that's being created for financial discipline is so necessary. And as a teenager, an old man told me that the secret to life is knowing what you can do without. And in Al Islam, there's a connection with Allahu Akbar. Priorities, God first, family, but we don't hear enough of it. We don't have an environment to support that in our souls. And I appreciate Graceline coming on to accept more responsibility in that area, to help keep the environment, the conversation, as Imam Talib mentioned, keep that conversation going. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you. All right. I don't see anyone else or any comment in the chat. I did place the, Graceline Community Inc.org's website address in the chat for people to be able to quickly access if they want to follow up, request one-on-one conversations, recommendations, or any discussion about what was discussed today, or any of the other topics of collective conversations.
And,
All right.
and I would want to add, and I did put this in the chat. Whenever any of us gets in a dilemma where we just don't know what to do, read Surah 17, Ayat 29, and I'll never forget it. Imam W.D. Muhammad said, "Don't hold yourself in too close or stretch yourself out too far." And you'll find the Arabia to that in Yusuf Ali's Ayat 17. I'm sorry, Surah 17, Ayat 29. Alhamdulillah.
Imam Talib, you want to close us out? Oh, I'm sorry. Brother Michael, did you have another question?
Well, a comment in terms of the environment, we've been socially conditioned, in particular African Americans, to be super consumers, but that's the nature of the environment. Consumption, 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 debt, 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 credit, credit, credit. And we need the solid voices like what you're presenting, to help us again, because we have buttons that have been established to be pushed,
Yes.
and we need to be aware of that, that we're in an environment that's very unhealthy for the human being, and financial literacy, we got to have it, or we're going to sink. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Michael. Imam
So
Talib, you want to close us out, sir?
yes, sir. So considering that we are in the last 10 days of this blessed month of Ramadan, and we are looking for Allah's salvation, we will close with this dua. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbana hasnatan, afir akhirati hasnatan, kina adabin. O Allah, give us good in this world, good in the after, and protect us from the torment of the fire. Ameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.